Welcome and welcome back. I'd like to show you a quick look of this toy box prototype that I built and put together. Starting from a full sheet of plywood, I cut it down into more manageable sized pieces that I could take over to the table saw. At the table saw, I'm cutting the pieces into rough panel sizes that I'll use to construct the toy box. For the final cut to dimensions, I'll use a higher tooth blade to get a cleaner cut on the edges. This project was one of the first projects I'd started since the completion of my CNC. I figured it'd be a perfect opportunity for me to gain a little more experience on the use of the CNC as well as the capabilities and just overall practice. So I figured I'd have some fun and see what parts I could design and create using my CNC. This happens to be one of the side panels for the toy box. This is the back panel of the toy box. I'm going to cut dados that will hold the shelves. Once aligned in the CNC, I'll use the same program I used to cut the dados for the shelves on the back panel on the side panel. To construct this toy box, I decided not to use any metal fasteners. That required dowels and many holes along the edges in order to assemble it. With so many holes to drill, I won't show you all the holes. I'll just show you the two methods I used to get the holes drilled. With all the plywood pieces cut, I could do a pre-assemble held together with clamps to give myself a good idea of what the toy box looks like for the first time. It's rough, and I think it's time to add some trim pieces to give it a more refined look. This pine is two-dimensional lumber that I'll use as edging for the toy box. I'll cut it down to its width before taking it over to the planer to get a more refined finish. I'll use the planer to make these pieces more uniform. Once out of the planer, I'll take it back to the table saw and cut them into strips that I'll use for the edging. With our trim pieces cut, we can now take our toy box with a little glue up and turn it into a toy box that's more refined that looks like this. With our piece refined, it's time to add some stain which will bring contrast and really show the characteristics of the wood grain. Since this is a one-off custom piece, I would like to give it an extra special touch. So we're going to create a nameplate that's going to go on the front of the toy box using the CNC. You may have noticed that there was a spot that I left a little bit of stain off. I wanted to make sure the glue had great adhesion to hold the nameplate on the front of the toy box. Once the nameplate was on the front of the toy box, it was just a matter of adding the protective finish, and then the piece was done. I'm going to show a few more shots just to show how the toy box came out. I'm happy with the final project, and I really do like the contrast and the way the wood grain shows. I plan on having more projects and builds in the future. If you liked what you saw in the video, please like the video so I know that you enjoyed it. If you'd like to see future content, please subscribe. I appreciate your time. Thank you for watching.